Oh, okay. We're live. Awesome. Okay. Hi guys, it's Tia from PassTrees, please. And today I'm here with Brice Kellar, who is the founder of Green Fight. Say hi, Brice.
Hi, Brice.
And he's going to be telling us a little bit about what Green Fight does in Ohio and what you can do to help. So go ahead, Brice. Tell us what's been going on and what your organization does and how they can get involved.
Okay, well, Green Fight is an activist organization supporting the nationwide legalization of marijuana and hemp. We are just in the beginning stages of our 10-year project, November 5th of 2015 to November 5th of 2025. We got an excellent team of people in our groups and on our advisory boards and in other projects, including Green Fight Vets. So I just encourage everybody to get involved at greenfightohio.com.
Awesome. Awesome. So you guys are really involved with the vets. I know this. Obviously, you yourself are a veteran, right, Brice?
Yeah, I'm an Air Force Security Forces veteran. And Robert Kowalski, who's in Michigan today, is actually the co-founder of the greenfightVets.org and is our director on that side of the equation. So, yeah.
Okay. How do you think, being obviously involved in the military, do you feel like you had any like PTSD symptoms stem from your service?
Yes. So I'm a service-connected disabled veteran, and my current rating is I was assessed a 70% rating concerning my condition. So I'm a disabled vet with PTSD, and I have a 70% disability rating. I served in the U.S. Air Force Security Forces for 4 years, served both in Korea and Iraq, and I received an honorable discharge. I've worked in law enforcement and security from that time until the time when I began in law school.
Okay. Thank you for serving our country. I definitely appreciate that, and I know a lot of PassTrees PassTrees, please, family members definitely appreciate it too. So thank you, Brice. I can't imagine what you go through on a day-to-day seeing that, like what you had to go through. I'm sure it is way worse than some of us can even imagine, and we're just so grateful for all the military that are overseas serving us. So yeah, I just want to thank you for that for sure. What's it, if you don't mind me asking, for the users at home that really don't know much about PTSD, can you tell us what's it like on a day-to-day for you? Like how it really impacts your quality of life, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, currently, PTSD is a thing that can affect you for a period of time, and you can go through periods of intense symptoms, but that's not my current status. I mean, I feel okay most days. That's because I'm properly medicated through the VA and then with my use of marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
So I've faced tremendous challenges in my life, but I wouldn't say that I've had a bad life. That's not anything to do with the PTSD. PTSD is people that have seen hardship and trouble and trauma in their life. They've seen this trauma firsthand. Then it's a situation of internalizing things, and emotions go on overdrive. And so for people that have experienced this trauma, whether it's instantaneous or it's prolonged, it's things that need to be dealt with. So
yeah
it's more of an emotional struggle for me, as we clearly can understand that controlling emotions in a positive way for our life, to choose happiness and to choose forgiveness and to choose fundamental principles that serve the public good and peace and love and these kind of things, are sometimes anger and depression can control or can interfere with rational thought. And so it's just been quite difficult.
Yeah, I completely understand, Brice. I myself am going through that. Obviously, you know, my boyfriend Corey Seibel was murdered over this whole drug war, so I understand. It's a struggle every day for all of us that have been affected. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you sharing that with us, because I feel like so many people are suffering, but they just don't ask for help, you know? And one of the things I love so much about cannabis is the way it brings people together and it lets them open up. It lets them talk about their feelings and talk about things they might not normally talk about. So that's great. It's definitely great. You would agree then that cannabis helps you with your PTSD symptoms and helps you, I guess, kind of deal with all the emotional troubles that you have to go through on a daily basis due to your PTSD?
Yes, yes, I agree with the first part of the question, but there was so many things wrapped up into the conclusions that followed that.
Okay,
but,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I think it's two parts, right? Yes, marijuana helps me relax, and it creates a situation where I can comfortably explore my emotions, but be able to talk about it in a positive and rational light. Now, today, for example, I've had a productive day because I used marijuana. And so it has to be a safe space. This is not what I would consider, or what the Bar Association has suggested would be legal work for me to have rational, open discussions in the public sector, not necessarily related to legal work.
Yeah.
And so it is a challenge, because the majority of the things that I work on cannot be disclosed publicly, right? You have to have a appropriate meeting time, and there has to be notification to people, and these different kinds of structures that go along with communications that are often written. And you know, and then you got court appearances before judges, and that's a whole nother story.
Oh yeah. I'm going through that right now, man. I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely use my medicine today too, and it's been helping me get by. It it definitely saves the day. That's for sure. That's for sure. Okay, Brice. Well, for all those at home that are suffering from PTSD that haven't really came out of the closet yet about their cannabis use, do you have any recommendations for them about how they can start getting involved and talking to people and get that support and that love they need within the cannabis community?
Well, I think that, like, processing it from a human perspective is the most important way to get the communication started. And then once we understand that, my personal situation aside, I mean, I'm not, people would not say that I was, I mean, I definitely drank some beer and went to some parties and things like that, and that would be uh, a situation where people are like, "Well, Brice, you need to be a little bit more mature, and think about smoking too many cigarettes and drinking too much alcohol and things like that." Okay, so I experienced relief from addiction by using and microdosing marijuana in addition to the treatment of PTSD. So this has a lot to do with the stigma surrounding the marijuana community. So once you can explain to a fellow human being that marijuana is truly medicine for so many people, it just happens to be that, fine, I have an opportunity to discuss it at some universities and in public debates about marijuana, but they see, who do they see? You know, oh, here's the guy who's the criminal defense attorney and the public defender, and he's saying, you know, he smokes marijuana, so it should be okay. And then that doesn't really resonate with people. But when you go further down the line and you think about someone who has conditions that are more close, have a closer nexus to end of life, it is so much clearer how you would choose the medicine that will not kill you as the first line towards therapeutic, natural health. Okay? So you have the people that can understand that general premise. And then it becomes more of a situation like, who was the person advocating to withhold women's right to vote? Do you see? It makes it, you go back and you think about it, because we learned in school, you know, that women had not always had the right to vote, and then you had the suffrage movement, and then there was a situation where, who was it that was there saying this isn't a good idea? And we go to these meetings and stuff, and there's so many of these groups out there that are like just spouting the same arguments that did not do anything for prohibition of alcohol, and was seen as one of the worst things that we've done from a crime, corruption, and violence kind of format.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So your question was, you know, how do the people move forward, and what do they do to get started, and those kind of things. If you understand how you actually connect to the other people in the group, that we are all free people and that we are gonna get there.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
It totally changes the perspective, where I can talk to at the Ohio State House. I've talked to senior law enforcement people and other people on the other side of the debate. And the truth is that we are having rational discussions about how to, you know, move forward. The governor of Ohio has said that it's incumbent upon him to review the information surrounding medical marijuana. He also said that they're not actively pursuing consumers in the state. So, I mean, there is a situation where it's becoming more publicly understood that, at a minimum, we're going to have medical marijuana in the very near future. It's arguable whether we have an affirmative defense as of today, because we previously had an affirmative defense. And, you know, there's an even more fundamental question of, since marijuana is not criminal, is it in fact decriminalized just completely right now? It's kind of, I mean, there's people still getting tickets and still getting charged and still in jail, but at the same time, you can argue that the scales have shifted, that upon the proper legal vehicle, the jury is nullified. I mean, we had 1 million people come out and say, I don't care if you call it a cartel or not, we're still going to have legalization. And that made Ohio 2015 legal search term legalizing weed to be the top search term in the state. I mean, our little team, I mean, Tia, I'm trying to explain, you know, our little team has done something revolutionary in a sense of bringing that to the forefront in a data kind of way, right? We can't go and say, well, let me show you what a hashtag Green Fight post is worth. Here, I have 100 likes on this post. Please give me my $1. It doesn't work like that. It's 100 Facebook likes is 1,000 people that their heart, their mind, their emotions, their, you know, there's someone out there that feels the same way as me, that knows my struggle. That is an unquantifiable benefit to their life that, you know, we just hope we make a difference. Now, we all each have to have our own jobs and find our own jobs in the real world. But when we think about how we interact with each other, and that maybe many people will meet you and I because of something that we did yesterday, which is right now for us.
Yes, yes, very true. Very, very true. I completely agree with everything you say, Brice. I think it's time for a revolution, and I think it's coming. More people are waking up. Like you said, it was the top search result in Ohio. People don't want to deal with this anymore. Like, they just want to use their medicine and go about their day. Like, I think about all the time that I spend on fighting the war on drugs. Like, what could I be doing if this wasn't even a problem, you know? Like, and I think the more people that they actually sit down and they read the statistics that Green Fight or another organization put out, the more they see the positive things coming from Colorado and different states that have legalized, the more open they're starting to be. Even little church ladies are coming out of the closet now, talking about how they smoke to be closer to God. I just think it's so cool that everyone's finally starting to come together as one. Because I know there was a lot of division last year over the Issue 3 bill, but this year I've seen good things from everyone. There's been no like egos or hard feelings really about different opinions for last year. It seems like Ohioans are just ready to unite, come together, and get this done. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree with that. I think that we will definitely have a continued struggle with a handful of, I don't know, just hecklers, you'd say. But they're going to be there no matter what. No matter how good of an idea is, there's always a critic just for the sake of being a critic.
Devil's advocate, right?
Yeah. But I think that the nationwide view is when I thought about Ohio, I thought about it in the way of how it fits in with the larger structure. I mean, I've lived all around the world. And so when we see this cascade coming from the West Coast and coming from the East Coast and moving towards the center of our country, and we've adopted on the seaboards a philosophy of accepting marijuana as medicine. And then Colorado is doing the grand experiment, which seems to work. And then Switzerland has, in 1994, legalized assisted heroin treatment. And heroin overdoses and deaths from AIDS, it dropped substantially, like in half.
Wow.
And then has been, and the chart that I had reviewed, or the study that I had those statistics from, was from a LEAP, Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, slide that I have. But and that was several years ago that the slide ended. So that, we don't know exactly where they are with that now, but they're doing better than a lot of other places. In Portugal, for example, decriminalized drugs and has some of the lowest drug overdose levels in the world of, I guess you'd say developed or, first, second world countries, not third world countries. And, it's just, I think that something is going to happen in Ohio, and when it does, we will all reap the benefits. I mean, even the most criticized of programs was the Responsible Ohio Yes on 3 campaign and all that. But you and I both know that with the Fresh Start Act, it contained what amounted to be exonerations for so many people that it was like, from my perspective as a part-time consultant for that, I worked, for 6 months on a project where they had a criminal question at the ballot box. 30% of the people said not guilty. And to me, that amounts to a jury nullification. And I feel pretty good about that, because we would have, if legalization would have went through, there were provisions for the Fresh Start Act, which they collected signatures for, that in a mechanical sense would have ultimately resulted in people getting their tickets expunged for previous marijuana convictions.
So how is the Fresh Start Act a part of the new bill that Marijuana Policy Project is pushing for Ohio?
Well, I don't really know what's going on with the Fresh Start Act, because I don't know. I don't know if it's dead or if it's effective. But it was a project that lingered out there, and it was supposed to be able to fit with any other project. But now Jimmy Gould and Chris Stock have joined the Ohio House Medical Marijuana Task Force. And so that is, they're getting ready. They've had hearings and a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't think that the Fresh Start Act is how they're going to, how anybody thinks that we're going to move forward with the expungements. But that is an eventuality. You see, that even though I did see a lecture where Josh Mandel said that he hadn't smoked weed, but that he thought that probably in the future there would be people trying to explain how much of a rebel they were back in the day when it was kind of legal, kind of not.
That's fun.
And so that's some weird candor from a young politician, right? And, like the President Obama has arguably made some of the most aggressive steps in not saying a whole lot about marijuana. But in any event, he did say that he doesn't think that alcohol or that marijuana is more dangerous than alcohol.
I would agree.
And he did comment for himself that he felt like it was a vice, like other things in his youth. That I don't know if he drinks beer. I saw a picture on Facebook of him with a Guinness on St. Patty's Day, but I don't know if that was. You never know if it's just a photoshopped something.
Right. Exactly. That's funny. Okay. Well, yeah, that's awesome. I definitely agree on all the levels that you're talking, Brice, and I really hope that they put the Fresh Start Act into the new bill. And if they don't, then hopefully we can get it in there somehow anyway. I mean, with our network of activists and all our supporters, I think anything is possible. So hopefully we'll get there. I'm
Well,
sure we'll get there. I
the
just don't know when.
the person who would be able to put the Fresh Start Act or be able to allow for that language and branding to move forward seems to be that it would be Ian James and his husband have the their team, TSN, is the one that collected signatures for that. So they would know who the signatories on there are, or whatever, who was, you know,
Okay.
who's got the signatures collected now and whose name and in what organization name or whatever. Ian James would be the lead on that. He has a company called the Strategy Network, TSN.
Ian James from TSN is who we need to be writing, right?
Yeah, we should write him and ask him about where the Fresh Start Act is.
Good idea. I like it. You hear that, guys? Let's do that. We can get it done.
I mean, however many, let's say there's one signature or there's 90,000 signatures that they have.
Mm-hmm.
It would be Ian at the Strategy Network that would have those.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Because they would have all the data from, presumably from the other petition too, right? The legal force of it is that, you know, you have the collected petitions that are filed and the actual petitions and things, and the signatures are contained at the State House, but someone has the slip, so to speak, for the safety deposit box that is those filings. And that would be the Strategy Network.
Okay, we will definitely try to get a hold of that then, because that's valuable information that we could all use. So thank you for that tip, because I didn't even know that. I know you and I had spoke a couple days ago about how people could start getting involved in their local governments to make change. Could you go ahead and share that with some of the people at home watching?
Okay, so there, in a very rudimentary sense, imagine that the United States is not as old as it is with our crazy, huge military infrastructure and all the different things, but it's just 100 people that live in the various states, and they all interact with this court or whatever, right? So you can look at the whole country as 100, or you can look at your town as 100, but there is no other construct. It's just you and the state. And then, so who is the person that keeps the rules directly for you? That is your local judge.
Yay, local judge. Okay.
And then in his construct, with his 100 people, his person is the appeals court over him or her, right? So the judge
Okay.
can be him or her. But the whole point is that there is an authority model, okay? And so if you think of your authority model and think of who is the person that represents the ability to influence that thing on society, it is the first line of defense is the local judge, okay? And a lot of local judges are not very interested in the police actually bringing them marijuana tickets. Because,
oh, really? Okay.
yeah, that would be, and I mean, they can't say that out loud. Do you see what I'm saying? They can't. Judges don't disparage the written law, okay? But judges are human, so they definitely feel bad about giving people tickets and taking driver's licenses for marijuana when, particularly when there's a clear advantage to those that have more money and a clear disadvantage to those that have medical problems, and then an activist community that's broke trying to bring together positive change. And interestingly enough, our friends that were conveniently grew up in Colorado or had an opportunity to move there, they're having much better economic success working for marijuana rights, having some themselves. The right to grow bestows an economic opportunity onto people. So you have these local judges that see people come into their courts and they're like, I'd rather not pursue this marijuana ticket. I wish this person had a really good public defender that had funding to be able to give me a good argument, a legal vehicle by which I could dismiss the case. Okay?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There would be, yeah.
That's simple. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, a judge would be like, man, that defense attorney's got some good arguments, and this is a citizen that went out and found a good public defender, and we heard some good arguments, and it allows me as the judge, the local judge of whatever county, municipal court judge of such and such little city, I'm going to write that based on the arguments, I think the case should be dismissed. And then they can do that.
Wow.
I mean, they can certainly do that because it's just a civil claim. The minor misdemeanor of marijuana is just a civil claim. Okay? So if you
civil
write...
claim, okay.
Yeah. So because it's decriminalized.
Okay.
Right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a minor misdemeanor, so it's not subject to jail time. It's decriminalized. So anyway, that would be how you'd handle the case. Like if you had some money and you could do a real, like you'd go get a ticket on purpose, and then you'd go to court with the purpose of fighting the ticket. Do you see what I'm saying? You get like 1,000 people to do that, and then 30% of them would win, and then you'd have a whole bunch of appeals, and then you'd hope to get, in the end, the state to actually hear the issue through the courts.
Okay.
Okay?
What a good idea, Brice. What a good idea.
All right. So, absent of that, because we don't have MPPs getting volunteer signature collectors to help with their signature gathering. So we certainly don't have money to fund people to go out there and get a ticket and then go to the court hearings and stuff like that. People have jobs and things to do. So what we would encourage people to do is, until that day comes, we would write letters to those judges to let them know that, hey, if you see a case where you'd like to hear the facts about marijuana, they're not going to have a Gideon versus Wainwright authority, but someone from the public defender's office who's a contractor out there, a public defender contractor, Brice Kellar, is out there, and he will send you the best information for the court to decide, what we can do to look at this and say, does this, I've presented the argument that if there's a civil taking, that constitutes a situation where it's a civil taking, where it's a law enforcement organization. It should cue the right to a public defender, okay? Particularly if that civil taking is going to be incorporated into the criminal background reference region, okay? It's different if it's a completely civilly regulated industry where someone has a civil taking. Arguably, big businesses they have attorneys and they argue about things, and that's all fine. But when the little guy gets a $150 ticket and then another $125 lab fee and then $110 in court cost, all to just find out that they get their driver's license suspended for 6 months, and then it says marijuana minor misdemeanor on their record for however long a minor misdemeanor stays on there. I know that, like, you get a speeding ticket and then it stays on for a while, and there's sometimes points and all this stuff. I don't really deal in the traffic court things. I've went to one and I didn't win. I always won when I was a cop. I never won as a defense attorney in the.
I wonder why.
Well, I'm saying on the traffic issues, because I mean if you, it's just tough to argue. If the cop says you're going too fast, the judge is like, all right, fine.
Yeah, I understand that. My laptop's actually dying, so let's wrap this up here.
Okay.
Just to summarize, basically, tips for Ohioans. First, get involved with Green Fight. It's an absolutely amazing organization. Brice is great. I know that you guys will be very well taken care of. Two, don't be afraid to talk about cannabis. It's not a bad word. It's okay. We can use it. We can talk about our feelings like adults. We don't have to be completely shelled up and shut in the closet or anything. So yeah, don't be afraid to talk anymore. And tip number 3, write your judge. Until we can do a civil act of disobedience where we all go smoke somewhere and all get arrested because we have all this money from the drug war that we can fund all these attorneys and then fight it that way, just write your judge in the meantime before we can do all that. So did I kind of get it all, Brice?
That was great. Let me add to the writings. The judge is just one more person that you got to write talking to him about. See, the public defender of Ohio has been reported by the news as supporting legalization of marijuana through legislation, okay? Or at a minimum, medical marijuana through legislation. So that means that the public defender's office is asking the people to speak up and have their legislature respond to these issues, and letting your judge know that, and having him or her support the public defender's right to bring this case is an important feature. So don't forget to write your representatives, the governor's office. Houston needs a letter or two, and so many other people. The sheriff is a good contact, and your mayor, councilmen and women. So that's it.
All right, Brice, thank you so much for doing this Google Hangout with me. I know it was kind of like spur of the moment, hey, but I definitely appreciate that and all the work you do with your organization. You guys definitely have my network support. So yeah, keep it up. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you, Tia. It's fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Peace, love, and PassTrees, please. Later, guys.